r/ForeverAlone. OddGear9472 says, theory about why many of us are single. I've been down many rabbit holes, blue black red pills, the whole lot, and I find all of them overly complex and too subjective. I honestly think autism is the leading cause for people staying single. Most people are average and most people are in relationships/seeing someone, so this blows through the BP's arguments. I have done Herculean levels of self-improvement than many of my peers, make more and even own my own house on a single income. However, I'm single, they are not. I recently learned that I have autism and dyspraxia. I'm just very good at masking it. To conclude, many folks on here I suspect have unrecognized autism, not all of course, but this is my theory. Good news is that I can get some government money to help me as I do struggle with things. Hope this post helps some people. Farlix1 says, most people are average and most people are in relationships/seeing someone, so this blows through the BP's arguments. You're making a mistake here by focusing on the big picture, which doesn't tell the whole story. First, ask yourself this: which group of people is most likely to complain about being forever alone, never being in relationships, etc.? It's young men. Are most young men in their 20s single? Actually, yes. Recent data shows that about 63% of young men are single. Are most young men autistic? No, most data shows it's somewhere between 3–4%. Don't get me wrong, autism can often be a death sentence for one's dating life, but it's nowhere near the leading cause of what's been happening in the dating market over the past 10 to 15 years. Mrajasan 2024 says, I've been told I'm average looking, but I'm terrible with dating. I don't think I'm on the spectrum. I know I'm a lone wolf, kind of boring, and don't like people in general. I know I sometimes have trouble with relating to people. The other day at my job we talked about something we were proud of doing, and just about everyone said their kids. I can't relate to that, since I don't have kids. I think most of it is that I'm not good looking. Aglister says, I think it often is just bad luck combined with passivity. If men then conclude that passivity is the problem and they are somewhat on the autism spectrum, they'll just end up labeled as creeps. The other men just accept their fate and nothing happens. Meanwhile, passivity isn't a problem for most women, and they experience bad luck in the form of bad relationships, not loneliness. Misfit Abroad says, I don't have autism, but I'm very socially awkward. I have zero ability to read social cues or determine how someone is feeling based on behavior or facial expressions. Being unattractive and below average height for a male is just icing on the cake. I just feel lucky that I'm debt free and have a decent job. Pockets Too Tight says, this is why I too sweeping of a generalization. What's more accurate is that a large number of us have some variety of mental health/cognitive issues. Some of us were born with them, some of us developed them, but either way they made life difficult for us. As life went on, and we were miserable, these mental issues worsened and made everything worse for us. Of course there's the uglies, the dating market being abysmal, and a wide variety of issues anyone here might be facing. But I think, especially for those of us that are past 25 or even 30, a lot of it can be blamed on a lack of healthy psychological development, making us weirder in whatever ways we already were. When your young people try to teach you the virtues of being yourself, unique and special, or whatever. Really though, being normal is the key. If you're unique, it could be in good or bad ways, and you'll live or die by that. But being normal, now that's the dream. r/ForeverAlone. Pockets Too Tight says, 35 and still clueless about women. And it's such a defeating feeling. I feel like a child. I have no idea how to flirt or have confidence. Or even why they want. And I know they're not all the same. But people have general desires. and for whatever reason I can't figure it out. Still, I tried this and that year after year. Being more confident. Being funny. Being serious. Being caring. Being aloof. Being vulnerable. Being strong. Showing interest. Not showing interest, it's like I'm stuck playing a game you play when you're a teenager learning the basics of human interaction. But instead, I'm a grown man playing teenager games. You could be a Rhodes Scholar. But if you can't find out how to attract people, you'll feel like a complete idiot and loser. I just wish something would work. For once. I'm begging, please, just for once let a girl that I like just even give me a frickin' chance. I feel like crying all the time, but I'm so numb that I can't even do that. I honestly don't think it'll make it much longer like this. I'm constantly haunted by every unfulfilled desire and longing I have. This is no way to live. I can't take it anymore. I'm losing my mind day by day and I don't know what's left of it to even lose anymore. Stranger GD says. This is basically me. I'm 35 and in the exact same boat as you. Feeling like I'm running out of time. It really hurts knowing that dudes in high school are better with women than I am. Little Goblin 21 says. Can't say I've had any real success either. I feel like I relate better to 18 to 21 year olds because that's basically my experience level. Oh yeah, I'm 38. So there really isn't much hope. So I do other things. I got into motorcycles while I was in the military, and that's a full-blown hobby now in addition to cars. Computers are fun too. I guess just fill your life with other things and try to literally stay so busy that the void is less of an issue. It will always be there, but since there isn't much we can do about it, stay busy with other things. Swigert says. I'm 31. I feel less like a kid, but more like an alien outsider observing real humans in a metaphorical zoo. Life's kicked me in the ribs and nads too many times to still feel like a child. Perhaps it's because I've given up entirely on romance that I feel this way. JP0509 says. I'm in my 30s as well and still have no clue how to flirt or even socialize normally with most women beyond small talk or business interactions. My mental blocks are so large that I can't even try. I basically avoid opportunities due to fear of my social ineptitude and not knowing what to do. Zenithrizer says. That's so relatable. Fault says. Step 1. Be attractive. Aaron Rajet says. This is a really great post, expressing a slippery idea. I was tired of that feeling of gradually losing my mind to these thoughts. So I pushed myself all last week to experience the pain and suffering as fully as possible, ending with absolutely falling to pieces Sunday night. On Monday morning I felt absolutely blissful, and it has lasted all day. r/ForeverAlone. Brokenman82 says. 41 and have gone on one date in my life. I had a fairly normal childhood until 8th grade. Born in 1982 and always had friends. You could always find me playing basketball or wiffle ball with the neighbors. Always got invited to birthday parties. The one time I had a birthday party for myself, everyone I invited showed up. Played soccer, baseball, and basketball in leagues with no issues. Then the 8th grade dance came. Where I lived it was called a snowball dance, but it has other names. It was a deal where two people would dance with each other for a minute, and then the DJ would say switch, and then fe'd split off and pick new dance partners. The idea being at the end of the activity everyone was dancing with someone. Well, everyone but me. I was literally the only person at the end that didn't have a partner. Just sat there and watched because no one picked me. It was humiliating. When my parents picked me up they knew I was upset, but I wouldn't tell them why. Ever since then I've been the exact opposite. Barely had any friends, and when I did find a way to eventually lose them. I never got invited out in high school, and no one ever wanted anything to do with me. I wasn't a weird kid emo. Played football freshman year, and quit because of being harassed by my teammates. I was into all the same stuff other high school kids were into. Just no one wanted me around. I went to homecoming with someone, only because her boyfriend went to a different school and wasn't allowed to come to our dances, fight at a dance, but a stop to it. We left early, so she could go see her boyfriend. I was a pity date. The handful of times I tried to ask a girl out I got at best a no, and usually got laughed at. To the point where guys would make fun of me for even entertaining the possibility of getting a date. Senior year a guy invited me to a graduation party because he knew if he didn't I'd be alone all night. About 5 minutes after I showed up I had more than one person ask me what are you doing here? So I was home at 8 on graduation night and spent it in my room. I thought the idea of moving away for college would be great because nobody there knew me so no one would have any idea about my past. Welp wrong. I didn't drink so no everyone treated me like a freak and once again just spent the time in my room alone when I wasn't in class. I ended up developing a deep crush on a girl online and once I told her how I felt, after several months, she said I was a psycho and should kill myself. Well damned if I didn't try and fail. Spent a week in inpatient care for suicidal ideations. Got out and went straight back to normal. Ended up failing out and started working. I enjoyed my job and got along great with all my coworkers with one notable exception. We'd all go out on the weekends to party and whatnot, and did ever get invited out. At that point I was at least confident enough to ask what it was that made everyone want to avoid me outside of work. Someone told me it was because since I didn't drink they just assumed I wouldn't be any fun to hang out with. So I started drinking a little, just to fit in. Meaning I'd get a single drink and just kinda nurse it all night. I got invited out more and actually started to enjoy my life again. Then I got fired from my job. I deserved it, so I hold no grudges and can blame only myself for this. I had a bottle of rum just in case someone came over and wanted a drink. Got home and said, frick it, and got drunk for the first time ever. I really enjoyed it, not so much the next morning, and you can probably guess what happened after that. I was so humiliated about getting fired I pretty much cut off contact with everyone I worked with. Started a new job and same cycle came. Started making friends and enjoying the work as much as a 25-year-old at a fast food place could. I met 2 women at pretty much the same time. One was someone who I only ever had platonic feelings for. Never once had any interest in dating her. The other the exact opposite. In addition to being possibly the most attractive person I've ever met. Now I will fully admit that I was super creepy towards this person. I say that in hindsight because at the time I didn't feel that way, but damn I was texting her all the time and calling her and all sorts of stuff. Even throwing those "why are you ignoring me?" texts at her if she took 10 minutes to reply. So eventually she left the store but kept in contact with me. Then finally she got fed up with me and told me to leave her alone and stop bothering me. I was a complete emotional disaster. Just heartbroken beyond belief, and that is when the woman that I was strictly friends with came and rescued me. She saw how bad I was hurting and was there for me every step of the way. She became the absolute best friend I'd ever had, and we spent all sorts of time together. After a year of this, she had eventually gotten a different job. She was a few years younger and was still living with her parents. Her dad punched her in the face and left a huge bruise, and she came to live with me. She slept in my couch rent-free for a couple of months. We decided that when my lease was up we'd get a new bigger apartment in a nice area. She started dating a guy and he was nice. We hung out and played Call of Duty and got along fine. We out down a deposit on a new apartment and I made all the arrangements for a moving truck and whatnot. Then about a week before we were supposed to move, he came to get her to take her to work. He wouldn't even speak to me, just kept going, "We are leaving now," and that was it. Thought that was strange, but whatever, maybe he was having a bad day. Woke up around 2 AM to find them trying to sneak everything out. I asked what was going on and she said her boyfriend made her choose between him and I, and she was choosing him. This time I had nobody to help me. So I started hitting the bottle really hard. I could always stop, but just didn't want to. I became a recluse for a couple of years because I just couldn't stand being around people. I'd go to work, keep my head down, do what I could with as little interaction with anyone, then go home. Fast forward 2 years and I started getting better. In that I actually spoke to my coworkers and had a very small social life. I tried online dating and got one person to actually respond to me. Cute and into the same things I was. We went out once, sat and talked for several hours and had a great time. Made a second date and confirmed the night before where we were meeting. Never heard from her again after that. Got to the restaurant, ordered 2 drinks, and then drank them both by myself over the course of about an hour. At least this time the server looked like he felt sorry for me and didn't laugh at me. Still, humiliated again. Went to a Comic-Con where they were doing speed dating. I figured since I'm in a room full of people with the same general interests I could at least get a number. Well, of the 20 or so women I spoke to, I got exactly 1 number. And it was fake. So humiliation continues and drinking intensifies. Going through 3/4 bottles of rum a week with beers in there all the time. Moved to a new city for work. Was working in hotels at this point and worked at a fancy hotel with a bar in it. Woman in the bar piques my interest. Actually got the nerve somehow to ask her out and she said yes. I was so shocked I didn't even know how to respond. We never really went out on dates, it'd just go over to her house and hang out with her. She lived alone with 2 dogs and would say her ex was harassing her and she didn't know where he lived and stuff, but he had a really bad temper, so if he showed up it'd be bad. The temper was confirmed to me by another coworker. Then on night I was at my parents for the holiday and she told me she was planning on having a girls' night in. Then I logged onto Facebook to see her posting pictures of her and her ex at a party. It turns out that every time he'd come over she would quite literally hide all of his belongings, so I'd think she was alone. She was only spending time with me because she knew if she asked for something I'd get it for her. Money, food, anything like that. So I was a total sucker and Jesus Christ, humiliated again. That happened right when COVID started. So I had found a new job about 2 months before COVID, so I was able to work from home. That's when I became a full-blown alcoholic. I was drinking all day while working. Got to the point that there were 3 different liquor stores all within a few minutes drive and all of them would have my normal order ready for me when I walked in. I was drinking a pint of ginger and a 6-pick every day at a minimum. Sometimes more beer. Weekends I'd throw in rum and bourbon. I honestly don't remember a lot of 2021 or 2022 because of this. Ended up in the hospital and diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. So now I'm just a hair over 500 days sober and in the best physical shape of my life. I'm 63 and 215 lbs. I used to think I was ugly and now I actually don't feel that way anymore. But God, I still have no friends and still can't get a date. One person I asked out said she thinks I should get a mail order bride because that was the only way any woman would want to be with me. I have a really hard time watching movies or shows that have happy couples or anything about men and their children because I know full well I'll never have a child to raise and never be in a relationship. I don't even like being around my brother and his kids anymore. I love them to death, but their perfect lives just further beat into my head the fact that I'll spend the rest of my life alone, and when I die no one. Old Dragon Fruit 5306 says, "Hey guy, I'm 41 also, and also dated once in my life. It's really hard reading what you have been through. I can't say that I've had it as rough as you, but there are points in that story I can really relate to. It is good that you are in shape though. Me too. Surprisingly, I haven't given up my life yet. I still have the motivation to work out. Definitely far from what PPL will consider as great shape, but I'm in my best comparing to my previous years. I'm pretty much given up on having a relationship. I do have gals that only approached me when they needed for help, so, frick them, sometimes the hurt comes back to haunt me, but not as much. I just needed some time for the feeling to go away. Anyways, thanks for sharing. Good luck." Sendiorpix Tomadoid says, "Just one question. As you mentioned you don't consider yourself ugly, have you ever tried dating apps, and more so, not just apps, but services promising to bring people together?" Medicinamore 1221 says, "I'm sorry man, hope it work out." The Gian Resco says, "This really sucks, you have been treated so badly. I don't understand why anyone would do this." Bushido Brown was here says, "I don't have any great advice, but truly hope you find what you're looking for. It's rough out there, but hope it works out for you." Dunegator says, "I hope you don't talk to the person anymore who said to order a bribe, because that's the only way. Frick that one in particular." H8 Bean Mail says, "Another angry depressing reminder." That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.